Let's make and play an ancient game, ancient explorers. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an ancient Mesoamerican game called Patolli. I have added timestamps below to help guide you through this creative adventure. Just like us, ancient Mesoamericans, including the Maya and the Aztecs, enjoyed playing games. Games were often played after working or on festival days. Patolli was a board game, and it consisted of a cross divided into squares. There were usually 52 squares in total. The game required a minimum of 2 players and a maximum of 4. Players used game pieces made of materials such as clay, and their dice consisted of black beans. Everyone, from kings to commoners, played the game. Patolli was a game of strategy and also of love. At times, it is also referred to as the gambler's game. And this is because before commencing the game, players would work out what they would have to bid or gamble. Items could include gold, silver, food, or textiles. All the items were placed in one pile, and at the end of the game, the winner would take the pile as the prize. In the Aztec version of the game, the pile was dedicated to the god of pleasure and excess. This god was called Mashil Shokshil. When the winner took the prize, it was said that the items were a gift from the god. The game was played until the Spanish conquest. The conquerors outlawed the game, and subsequently, boards and their pieces were destroyed, and any person caught playing the game was punished. As a result, we know little about the rules of the game. Fortunately, there were references to the game in the ethnohistorical documents, such as the Florentine Codex. Published in the 16th century, this document includes more than 1,000 pages divided into 12 volumes, and it provides important information about Mesoamerican life, including culture, religion, and politics. So let us begin. I have cut 4 pieces of heavy-weighted watercolor paper. Each strip is about 30 centimeters long and 10 centimeters wide. I will leave one strip white and paint the others yellow, red, and black with acrylic paint. I have chosen these colors inspired by the ancient Maya. In ancient Mayan cosmology, white, red, black, and yellow were associated with the 4 cardinal directions, and also with maize. To learn more about these associations, I invite you to check out my activity sheets now available from my website. I begin by painting the 3 strips with acrylic paint. As you can see on the screen, I'm using a roller to paint them. If you follow me, you will know that I like to paint with a roller, and this is because it spreads the paint fairly evenly. While the 3 strips are drying, I take the white strip and with a ruler and pencil, I measure out squares. The size of your squares depend on how big your Patolli board will be. For example, my board will be A4 size, so I am making my squares 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters. You will need to measure out at least 8 squares of each color. Once you've drawn your squares, cut them out. Next, I've taken 2 squares of each color, and on each one I am drawing an equilateral triangle. I'm doing this first in pencil. Then with scissors, I'm cutting out the triangle of the 2 black tiles. For the remaining triangles, I am simply colouring them in using a Sharpie. You could also use a black texter. Now I'm creating my Patolli board. My board will be made from foam board covered with recycled brown paper. To glue the brown paper to the foam board, I'm using Mod Podge. If you don't want to use foam board, you could also use cardboard or butcher's paper. Next, I'm positioning the tiles on the board in the form of a cross. As you can see on the screen, each colour represents one of its 4 lines. The tiles with triangles need to be situated in the second last row of each line, and the triangles need to be facing one another. As you can see on the screen, I have taken a tile of each colour and placed it in the centre of the cross. Now that I'm happy with their placement, I'm gluing each tile down with a glue stick. I've decided to decorate my board with mine glyphs. I've cut out a 5 by 5 centimeter square of each colour, and on each one I'm writing the glyph for the respective colour. This step is completely optional. You may also like to decorate your board, or you may prefer not to. To finish the board off, with a black pen I'm drawing the missing sides of the triangles of the black tiles. I am also going to draw a semicircle at the end of each line. Finally, I will draw a line in the middle of each semicircle, dividing it into 2 rounded squares. For the game, you will need at least 6 counters per player. I'm making counters for 2 players from white clay. You will need to make sure that each player has a distinct set of counters. They can be different colors, different shapes, or forms. You will also need a dice. You can use a modern dice, or if you'd like your game to be a little bit more authentic, you could use black beans. It is thought that in ancient Mesoamerica, a hole was drilled on one side of each bean. To save a little bit of time, I am simply marking one side of each bean with white acrylic paint. Now let us play. While we're not entirely sure of the rules that the ancient Mesoamericans followed when playing this game, here are a couple of guidelines. To begin the game, each player places one piece on their respective squares. Throughout the game, players will move their pieces in a clockwise motion. Now quick, do a tally and work out who is the youngest player. The youngest rolls first and the oldest last. Now when you throw a 2 or a 3, you can move a new piece on the board. And if you roll a 5, you get to throw again. But if you land on a triangle, you miss a go. And you can throw again if you land on a rounded square. If you land on another player's piece, their piece must be removed off the board. They can move this piece onto the board again if they roll a 2 or a 3. Each counter or piece must complete a full round of the board before the player can remove it from the board. And the winner is the player who moves all of their pieces around the board and removes them first. Enjoy playing Patolli, Ancient Explorers. I'd love to hear how you go. Please share with me. My social media links are in the description box below, as well as a link to my website where you will find other activities that you might enjoy. Until the next time, Ancient Explorers, take care, stay well, and have fun. Ciao.